Well, 48 hours later, and I'm as curious as you if this will hold. There was a lot of outer tension on it, so we'll see. So I'm going to loosen this now and we'll watch the crack. Let me zoom right into the crack to see if it changes in any form or fashion. Okay, starting to turn now. Loosen. Let's see if there's any movement there. Okay, can I trust it? Can I trust it? I don't know. Only bollocks. Live on camera, for fuck's sake. There's too much outward pressure on it. So that didn't work. So plan 2, I got a feeling it might require a Frankenstein fix. Going in from the side, bolting into it. I have to think about it. And to add bloody insult to bloody injury, when I was watching the last video, I spotted something up here on the micro camera, and it looks like a hairline crack emitting from that screw hole again. That screw hole did the damage there, and it looks like a hairline crack there. The wood must be, maybe it's dry, maybe it's not strong enough for this, but you can't see on this side because it's got a high gloss. Yeah, well, that's a blessing, and I think it's a blessing, but so I says to Shay, says I, this fix should be a simple fix. But then I saw the other cracks, and then I took the strings off and I noticed everything's loose. Now, that may be an ordinary little thing on a guitar, that these are loose and need to be tightened. But is this head brittle? Is that what's causing it to have little, let me just show you, little hairline fractures? And would, get into focus, hey you, and would tightening up those nuts cause any more hairline fractures? Well, we're going to find out, because the nuts have to be tightened up. I'm turning this around gingerly. The nuts have to be, I'm going to take them off, clean them and tighten them up, but not go crazy. Might do something with that little bit of black up there. Right, okay. It shows you how simple things are not. Okay, goodbye. Right, I was almost going to ask you guys for your suggestions on what to do with this. But I think I see, my temptation was to fill it and do nothing, because that crack's been there for a while, and we'll see, because maybe it'll never be open any further than that. But I think, and I can't see it without this camera, but I think when I manipulate this and stretch it, I see the crack opening up in there. Can I see? I can't see it with my own eyes. Let me put a second pair of glasses on to see if that maybe will help, but I can't see it. Let me look closer. Is it opening? I'm not going to put too much pressure on it. Is it opening and closing? Let me just put some more. I'm going to have to look at this in the viewfinder to see. If that crack is opening and closing, I need to do something with it. I can't just leave it. Right, I needed more light, so I opened the window, but I'm sorry I did, because if you look at that screw, it's got a little crack above it. If you look at that screw, it's got a little crack above it. And if you look at that one, it's starting a crack, and it's got a little tiny hairline there as well, the crack. So those hairline cracks, there's only one thing I can do, and that's thin some super glue and try to bind it a little bit. But it's clear that this wood is, what's that up there? Is that just a chip? It's just a chip. It's clear that this wood is not strong enough, and somebody, when they were putting the screws in, probably put the screws in without drilling first, so they put too much pressure on the wood. Right, I think I have to make a decision. I'm going to thin some super glue down with acetone and soak it in there and soak it in there, and yeah, I can feel a little crack just there and there. And then I'm going to fill that, and I'm going to fill that and then try it. It feels a little bit rough there at the edge. No, I think I'm going to have to do more than that. I think I'm going to have to drill a hole about there, through just beside it. It might have to be a fairly long hole, and put a very fine screw that starts screwing about there. And then when I tighten it, it'll pull that in, because I do feel that a bit of a rough edge. So I think before I do anything, I'm going to have to drill the hole. Let me just talk to myself and you. I'm going to have to drill the hole about there. And bugger. All the screws I have got the grip right across it. They don't have the head on it. So I'll give you, for an example, here's one here, which I'm not going to use, obviously, but it's got a clear, there's none of the threads on it there, so the threads on this small narrow screw would go there, and then the wood biting into there would pull that in. I think I'd probably have to put Titebond again in, but pull the wood in and glue it, and that might, I think I'd have to stop. I'd have to find a screw that stops there, because I don't want to go any further to there. So the screw would go there, but the part that would not have the thread on it would go there. Right, so I'm going to post this up and ask people for what they would suggest. That crack there, it's almost tempting to do the same thing, but in that direction. But is that I don't know whether I need to do it there, because the pressure's there, and the edge needs to be pulled in there. So I'm going to put it up in the line and ask you lot to see what you can come up with, if there's any better ideas. One final thought, which, if I do drill a hole there, where is that? Drill a hole there and go through. I got a feeling that when I tighten this bit of wood might snap off. Because what I'd have to do is drill down there, through there, maybe starting there. And you've only got, if you look at that there, that's only the finest piece of wood there. You put too much pressure between there and there, you might just end up cracking it there, or splitting it there, or splitting it anywhere where the grain is coming down. You put pressure on, unless I put it on from the very top right down, but then I'd have to come through the hole. I'd have to put the bolt or whatever screw I could find right through the head, which means that I'd have to put the tuner on slightly crooked and drill another hole here, and then the tuner would be slitting slightly crooked.